السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. حياكم الله إخوان. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد. So we begin على بركة الله وبعونه with أصول الدعوة السلفية, أصول الدعوة السلفية, the principles or foundations of the Salafi da'wah, the Shaykh Abdus-Salaam ibn Burjis ibn Nasir Ali Abdul Karim Rahimahullah ta'ala. We begin with extremely brief introduction to who Shaykh Abdus-Salaam was, and then bi'idhnillah ta'ala, we will also cover the introduction of this particular kitab. Now, and so Shaykh Abdus-Salaam ibn Burjis was born in the year 1378 after the Hijrah. Now, he's from the ulama, or was from the ulama of Riyadh. The ulama of Riyadh. He had memorized the Quran from a young age. He began his talab of ilm, from likewise a young age. And from his mashayikh, from the scholars that he took from, Shaykh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz Rahimahullah, likewise Shaykh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen Rahimahullah, كذلك أو Shaykh Abdullah al-Ghudayyan Rahimahullah, Shaykh Abdullah al-Ghudayyan, كذلك الشيخ أحمد النجمي, other than them, Shaykh Ahmad al-Najmi Rahimahullah from Jazan. Now, and a number of other mashayikh. But again, just to keep this brief, the Shaykh, he held a number of positions. From them, he was a mudarris in the al-Ma'had al-Ilmi in Al-Qaaidah. Likewise, he was a qadi, he was a judge in the Wizarat al-Adl, in the Ministry of Justice. Besides him also being an imam of his masjid, a khatib in the masjid, he would give the Friday sermon, and likewise he would teach within the masajid. Now, from the qadr of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala is that the Shaykh, he passed away relatively, we could say relatively, being somewhat young, relatively speaking. The Shaykh, he passed away on the evening of Jum'ah in the month of Safar in the year 1425 after the Hijrah, and it corresponds with 2004. And that was on his way back from Al-Ahsa in the Sharq of the Mamlaka, from the east of the kingdom, in Ahsa, after he had given a lecture there. And on his way back to Riyadh, the Shaykh, Qadar Allah ma sha fa'al, was involved in a car accident. A camel had come onto the road, and the Shaykh Rahimahullah, he passed away. Now, Rahimahullah, rahmatan wasi'ah. The age of the Shaykh at the time, the Shaykh was 38 years old. 38 years old. The Shaykh, despite him passing away at a young age, he left behind a number of mu'allafat, a number of authorships, treatises and so on, and tahqiqat, books that he had verified and so on from the A'immah, and in particular the A'immah of Najd. That which would normally equate to someone who lived twice his age. But as we've heard, the Shaykh, he passed away and he hadn't yet reached 40 years old. But the Shaykh, despite that, he would benefit from his time, and he was busy with teaching, busy with writing, and so on and so. As we said, the Shaykh left behind turath of ilm, left behind mu'allafat, and there, walillah alhamd, there is available a compilation of the works of the Shaykh, the majmu' compilation of his mu'allafat and tahqiqat, 7 big volumes. Naam. And from those, or from the well-known of his rasail, is that which he wrote concerning how to deal with the hukam. And there was a brother in particular, I don't recall, someone who asked me, whose works can we go to if I want to learn about dealing with the rulers, the Muslim rulers, the hukam, the umara, the affairs of takfir, and so on. And at the time, I gave the brother a brief answer for what I could recall at the time. But this kitab, or this majmu' of the Shaykh, is your go-to place, because the Shaykh has a number of rasail on these topics. And as I mentioned, from the well-known works of the Shaykh is a kitab that he wrote. It's Mu'amalat al-Hukam fi Dawah al-Kitab wa Sunnah. Mu'amalat al-Hukam fi Dawah al-Kitab wa Sunnah. Dealing with the rulers in light of the book and the Sunnah. Now, likewise, from the beneficial works that you find within this majmu', here, some of the brothers, they have it also. As I mentioned, 7 volumes, dhakhma, 7 thick volumes like this. From the juhud of the Shaykh, your ikhwa, is that he wrote around 200 pages, that which is titled Tarikh Tadween Al-Aqeedah Salafiyya, history of the recording down and the authorships of the Salafi Aqeedah. Around 200 pages, and the Shaykh, he makes mention in chronological order of the books that were authored in the affairs, or in the affair of Aqaid, the affairs of Tawheed, the Iman, Rudud, on Ahl al-Bid'ah, and so on. And the Shaykh, after making mention of that which has been mentioned, from the first who authored in the affair of Aqeedah, from the command of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, was Muhammad ibn Shihab al-Zuhri. He ordered him to write to record the Sunnah, and to write down the Sunnah, and preserve the Sunnah, and so on. And thereafter, then Shaykh Abdus-Salaam Rahimahullah, he makes mention, the very first book he mentions is Kitab al-Sifat of Hamad ibn Salama. And then the Shaykh, he goes through in chronological order, mentioning over 300 books 330, يعني just I think 333 books that the Shaykh he mentioned. And what he does, and again a benefit for those who from the Tulab al-Ilm, those who ask what's the best print of this book, who's printed it, whose tahqiq, whose verification should I refer to, and so on. The Shaykh, his practice within this kitab, or this risala that he put forward and he authored, is that he would make a brief mention of the author. So the author of the kitab. Remember, the Shaykh is going through the A'imma who authored books in the Bab of Aqeedah, showing how the Aqeedah of the Salaf has been preserved and been passed on from generation to generation, from alim to alim, almost like a chain. And so the Shaykh, he mentions the date of his Mawlid, the date of when this alim was born, the date that he passed away, and a brief biography, what has been mentioned about him. And if the kitab itself has been published, he will say that such and such maktaba has published it, bitahqiq fulan wa fulan, with the tahqiq and the verification of so and so, or that sometimes that this is the best print, and so on. So mufid jiddan. Now, a number of, as we mentioned, a number of rasail with an introduction of, or an introduction given by Ahlul Ilm, such as Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, Shaykh Hurraira, and others. Now, the Shaykh Abdus-Salaam bin Burjis, he visited the UK. He did visit the UK. He visited Birmingham on a number of occasions, and I refer you to the small article that Shaykh Abu Khadija, or Shaykh Abu Khadija, he wrote concerning Shaykh Abdus-Salaam, his passing, and he recalls that which took place between Shaykh Abdus-Salaam and the brothers here, and between Abu Khadija himself and Shaykh Abu Khadija himself and Shaykh Abdus-Salaam. Now, I share with you something which I don't share often. I haven't shared with many. During my stay in Riyadh, something which was not planned, but from the qadr of Allah, is from the ahya that I stayed in, was Hay al-Mugharrazat, or Mughrazat. Some say Mugharrazat, some say Mughrazat. It's the same Hay, it's the same neighborhood. It's just the pronunciation differs from person to person. Al-Muhim is that this was the Hay of the Shaykh and the family of the Shaykh Ali Abdul Karim. And the local masjid to me was that masjid of the Shaykh, and the Shaykh's brother was there at the family of the Shaykh. Something I didn't plan. It was a surprise. And then when I got to know the Imam of the masjid, the Imam was from Jazan, from the south of the Mamlaka. When he found out that I was from the UK, he the first thing he asked me was, how is Abu Talha Dawood Berber, Rahimahullah? How is Abu Hakim? How is Abu Khadija? How is Abu Idris? In particular Abu Idris, because he had Al-Mar'i, the Imam, was from Jazan, and he was close to Shaykh Ahmed al-Najmi and the Mashayikh there, Shaykh Zayd and others from the Mashayikh there. And Shaykh Abu Idris, our brother, our teacher, our Shaykh Abu Idris from Birmingham, he asked specifically how is him, because Shaykh Ahmed al-Najmi, he loved him. Now, and it's because our teachers and our Mashayikh, they would visit these Mashayikh, and it was something I believe possibly Abu Ibrahim Ma'ruf here from our brothers who was present at that time. Yani when the Imam, he asked about these affairs and asked how they were and to convey the salams to them and so on. And this was before Shaykh Abu Talha Dawud Burbank had passed away. Na'am, rahimahullah. That's something which I don't think I've even told the brothers. I've told our teachers. I've not shared that with any of them. So, يعني, something يعني, that you can share with them. Now, we begin with the kitab. The Shaykh, after يعني, the Hamdulillah, and after beginning with the Khutbah al-Hajj and so on, the Shaykh, he says فقد قامت الدعوة السلفية على بعض الأصول. The Salafi da'wah has been established upon principles. It is established on principles. والتي باينت بها ما عداها من الفرق الناكبة عن الصراط المستقيم. نعم، أو من الصراط المستقيم. Principles which separate it from the rest of the deviated sects, those that have deviated from the straight path. And that which يعني, urged me to gather these principles, two clear affairs. Al-Amr al-Awwal, the first, is ما رأيته ورآه غيري من تعلق بعض الجماعات الإسلامية الحزبية. That which I myself and others have seen from some of the Islamic parties and groups that are ba'ida, far from the manhaj al-Salaf, far from this pure, noble name and description to the Salaf, or that which يعني, equates to its meaning, يعني, the meaning of the Salaf, be that terms that they use, that they say we are Ahl al-Sunnah or Ahl al-Athar, Ahl al-Hadith, يعني, al-Firqa al-Najih, and so on, the titles that they may use which refer back to the same affair, meaning the affair of the Salaf. Now, الذين قال فيهم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, those about whom the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, خير الناس قرني, the best of people is my generation, ثم الذين يلونهم, ثم الذين يلونهم, ثم الذين يلونهم. In the طبعة there, how many times does that appear? ثم الذين يلونهم. 3 times. So, the hadith, as we know, is well known. It's a hadith recorded by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. But very often you hear the wording here is the lafz here is the lafz of Imam Muslim. The wording here is the word of Imam Muslim, because the wording of Al-Bukhari and the other wording in Muslim, ثم الذين يلونهم, only comes twice. So the best of people is my generation, then those who come after them, and then those who come after them. So here altogether, how many generations? 3 generations. And the hadith is well known, as we said, recorded by or narrated by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Imran ibn Husayn radiyallahu anhuma. But the wording here, and the wording which the Shaykh himself he said, because this kitab that you have, that some of you have here, is mufarragh. It's the origin of it is a lecture. The Shaykh he gave it as a lecture, and this is just transcribed. The Shaykh himself, if you listen to the audio, he mentioned this wording with ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يُلُونَهُمْ being mentioned 3 times. So that would equate to how many generations? 4 generations. That's the wording of Imam Muslims, not the wording of Bukhari. Now, if you go back to the wording of these ahadith, then you find Imran ibn Husayn, for example, he says فَلَا أَذْرِ, but I don't know. أَقَالَ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, did the Messenger of Allah say مرتين أو ثلاثة بعد قرنه? Did he, after his generation, did he mention ثم الذين يلونهم twice or 3 times? I don't recall, I don't recall. And so here there came the debate and the discussion. When we say the Salaf, and we may try to make tahdeed of the Salaf, then we try to specify exactly who are the Salaf, how many generations, then this was a discussion. And the likes of Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah have discussed this. And that which is the stronger position, correct position, is that it is the first 4 generations. It is the first 4 generations. Because Imran ibn Hussein, he didn't negate it, he just said, I don't remember how many times he said it. And if you couple this with the hadith recorded, narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, in the Sahihain likewise, كذلك, in the Sahihain, Bukhari, Muslim, where he mentioned that there will be people who will go out and they will fight, or they will go out and it will be said to them, they will go out to fight, na'am, and it will be said to them, is there from amongst you those who saw the Rasul? And then they will go out and they will be victorious, and they will say yes. Then they will go out and they will be victorious, meaning Allah will aid them. Then there will come a people who will go out and fight, and it will be said to them, is there from amongst you those who saw those who accompanied the Rasul, meaning the Sahaba, those who saw the Sahaba? They will say yes. And so then they will go out and they will be victorious. Then there will come those who will say, those who will come who will go out to fight, and it will be said to them, is there from amongst you those who saw the Sahaba? Until the mention of 4 generations. Then Abu Sa'id mentions that which Imran and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud in those narrations make mention. Then there will come a people after the first 3 generations, in those narrations. Then there will come those who will give shahada before being asked to give shahada and so on. Will give witness before being called to witness and so on. They mention the description of those who will come after the best of generations. This hadith of Abu Sa'id, after mentioning the 4 generations, he then mentions, then there will come a people who will give witness and they will not be called to witness. So Abu Sa'id, he confirms here 4 generations. So here we say that those narrations from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Imran ibn Hussein, then there is the mention of not recalling whether the Messenger of Allah mentioned it twice or 3 times. ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ, those who come after them. However, Abu Sa'id, he does remember, and the principles of fiqh and in hadith tell us that the ziyada of the thiqah is maqbool. Because it's possible that then some of the narrators who are trustworthy, they forget. But then someone who is trustworthy, somebody else who is trustworthy, he remembers. And so that is why we say that the Salaf, when we say the Salaf, we say the first 4 generations. The first 4 generations, which would then include all 4 of the Imams, and it will include Ashab al-Kutub al-Sittah. It will include all 6 of the Imams of the books of Hadith. It will include from Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Nisa'i, Ibn Majah, all of them. It will include all of them. So when we say the Salaf, then we say the first 4 generations. Now, although commonly we hear the first 3 generations, but all 4 you live by. Clear. Then comes the issue of the tahdeed of a qarn, specifying how long is the qarn, the generation. Some said 40 years old, 40 years. Some said 70. Some said it is the average lifespan of any given time, a period of time. It differs from time to time and location to location and so on. But again, so long as there is a hadith in the matter, then we submit to the hadith and to the daleel, and that which has come from Bukhari, not in his Sahih but in his Tarikh, although it is still authentic. Shaykh Al-Albani Rahimahullah, he declares it authentic in his Silsila, where he said about Abdullah ibn Basr, the companion, he said, سيعيش هذا قرن. He will live for a qarn. A qarn. So look at the wording, a qarn. He will live for a qarn. And then it's mentioned فَعَاشَ مِئَةْ سَنَةً. So he lived for 100 years. So he lived for 100 years. So we said the qarn is 100 years. Now, wallahu ta'ala alam. There's just some added fa'idah, not mentioned in the kitab, but some added benefits from the kalam of Ahlul Ilm. Now, and so the Shaykh, after making mention of the hadith of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he continues and he says, that these jama'at al-hizbiyya, these Islamic groups, these partisan groups, they publish books and rasail, authorships and so on. Bism Salaf, in the name of the Salaf, and in the name of Ahl Sunnah. وهم بهذا العمل يدسون السم في العصر. And by way of this action, what do? They mix or infuse honey into, poison into the honey. They mix poison into the honey. Now, and they hide that which is behind this laqab and this name and this slogan that they take, saying we are Salafi or we are the people of Sunnah and so on. Their talbis and their tadlil, their deception and their misguidance. وَكَمْ Wallah, the Shaykh, he swears by Allah, and he says, how many from these kutub, how many from these books and these works that these people they publish, how many from them they differ from the Salafi manhaj. There is a clear difference between that which they teach and that which they publish and the Salafi manhaj. And there is within their works nusra, aid and support for the firq al-dalla, the misguided groups, those later ones who came from the Khalaf, not from the Salaf but rather from the Khalaf, those who came after the Salaf, after these virtuous generations, like the Khawarij, and like the Mu'tazila and the Sufiyya. So for this reason, from the reasons, the two reasons that encouraged the Shaykh to author or to gather these principles, this was the first, from that which he saw from these groups and parties using the name of the Salaf and this slogan, saying that we are Salaf, saying that we are Ahl Sunnah and so on. In essence, hijacking this noble title. الأمر الثاني, the second reason, ما قامت به هذه الجماعات أو بعضها من التعلق ببعض أهل السنة والجماعة لتحقيق هدف معين. That which these groups or some of these groups do by way of attaching themselves to some from the people of Sunnah. Why? In order for them to achieve a specific objective that they have. That which they can only achieve via this individual that they cling to and attach themselves to from the people of Sunnah. Now, وهو في الحقيقة بريء كل البراءة من هذا التعلق. But this person from the people of Sunnah, this Imam or this Alim from the people of Sunnah, in reality is completely free from their attachment to him. Now, ولكي يكون الكلام واضحا فإنني أقول, so that this speech can be clear to you, then I say the following. Shaykh, he says, إن جماعة الإخوان. So the Shaykh now is going to give an example. He says, جماعة الإخوان المسلمين, the group, the Muslim Brotherhood, دندنوا حول جحود الشيخ محمد بن إبراهيم رحمه الله. They يعني دندنوا يعني mean buzz around. They buzz around the efforts, يعني meaning they cling on to and they spread the some of the efforts, meaning some of the works and some of the speech of Shaykh Muhammad ibn Ibrahim rahimahullah, the previous mufti before Shaykh Abdul-Aziz ibn Baz. نعم فيما يسمونه بالحاكمية, يعني as it relates to the affair of what they refer to as al-Haakimiyyah. Al-Haakimiyyah, what do they mean by al-Haakimiyyah? The leadership, and saying that the leaders and يعني the obligation to rule by what Allah has revealed. نعم فأبرزوا جهود هذا الإمام في هذه القضايا. And so you find that they promote some of the efforts of the Shaykh, some of the works of the Shaykh in these affairs. When the Shaykh spoke about يعني, the obligation of ruling with the Book of Allah and so on, and يعني, the affairs to do with ruling, the rulership and so on. لظنهم أن ما في كلامه ما يؤيد باطلهم الذي انطووا عليه من تكفير الدولة. Now, why do they do this? Why do they cling on and buzz around the kalam of the Shaykh? Because of what they think aids them, يعني, and that which includes يعني, what they will then go on to justify from the speech of the Shaykh is the takfir of the dawlah. That which would necessitate and involve the takfir of the dawlah, meaning declaring the country to be kuffar, declaring the Muslim land and the Muslim ruler to be a land of kufr, or the ruler to be a disbeliever. نعم ومن ثم الخروج عليها. Therefore, thereafter would come khuruj alayha, to go out against the dawlah, to go out and take up arms, يعني, and to remove the ruler, to take up arms and to remove, يعني, and to revolt against the ruler. وكذبوا عليه وافتروا عليه. And they lied upon the Shaykh, they fabricated lies against him. The Shaykh, he says, والله موقفه من الدولة واضح لا غبار عليه. The position of the Shaykh from his works is clear towards يعني, the dawlah, clear towards the country, towards the ruler and so on. There is no ambiguity, it's clear. نعم وقد تكلم رحمه الله بكلام حسن بديع في رسالة اسمها. The Shaykh, he spoke with speech that was beautiful and يعني, amazing in a treatise that he wrote, the title of which is نصيحة مهمة في ثلاث قضايا, important advice in three matters. وذكر موقفه من ولاة الأمر, and within it he mentioned his position towards the leader, towards the ruler. وصرح بوجوب طاعتهم في غير معصية الله, and he made it clear the obligation of obeying the rulers in other than disobedience to Allah. And so this speech الذي سطره الشيخ, يعني that which the Shaykh he wrote in that risala, in that treatise, and other than it, هو من صلب موضوع جهود الشيخ في الحاكمية. It is from the يعني core or essence of the Sheikh's efforts in this topic of al-Haakimiyyah. لكن القوم كالذين وضعوا أصبعهم على آية التوراة. However, these people, they are like those who placed their finger over the verse in the Torah التي جاءت في الزنا, that verse which came concerning those who commit adultery. يعني meaning the verse that came in the Torah regarding the stoning of the adulterer and the adulteress. Now, مبينة وجوب رجمهم, the verse which made clear the obligation of stoning them. لإخفائها وكتمها. يعني, why did they place their finger on the verse? In order to hide it and conceal it, to hide the ruling, to conceal the ruling of stoning. Now, نسأل الله تعالى السلام والمعافاة. Shaykh يعني made dua of safety and pardon from Allah تبارك وتعالى. على أن مصطلح الحاكمية عليه مؤاخذ. يعني, this is يعني in addition to the fact that the term of a Haakimiyyah, يعني, it has criticism. And it's been criticized using this term Haakimiyyah. There are those who criticize it. The Shaykh, he says, more than one have criticized this term from the Kuttab and the Mufakkirin, from يعني, the intellectuals and those who write and so on, the writers and so on. And so he says that this Dr. Muhammad Imara, he said that it is a shi'ar dakhil ala turathina al-qadim wa ijtihadina al-hadith. This term Haakimiyyah, it is a slogan, a foreign slogan, dakhil. It has come into our turath, it is foreign, which has يعني, come into our, or is foreign to, يعني, to our old heritage, and it is from the modern day deductions. Now, and some of the writers, like Muhammad Sa'id al-Ishmawi, or Ashmawi, or Ahmad Kamal, or Hafid Diyab, they يعني, said that this shi'ar, this slogan of theirs, Haakimiyyah, it is the same slogan of who? Al-Khawarij. The Khawarij who used the same speech and they raised the same slogan of Haakimiyyah in the days of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu. وَهُوَ لَا حُكْمَ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ. And what did they say? There's no hukm, no judgment except the judgment of Allah. Now, أعود فأقول, I return and I say, لما رأيت هذا العمل المشين من هذه الجماعات أثر على بعض شبابنا. When I saw that this disgraceful action of these groups and these sects, these groups and these parties, when I saw that يعني, their action has affected some of our youth, and يعني, how they have deceived them with the likes of these slogans that they use. يعني, they hide behind these slogans and these titles of Al-Haakimiyyah and so on. The Shaykh, he says, أحببت أن أذكر أصولا للدعوة السلفية. That I wanted to make mention of some principles pertaining to the Salafi da'wah. بها يتميز أهل الحق من غيرهم. Through these principles, through these foundations, the people of truth are distinguished from other than them. يتميز السلفي حقا من المدعي الكاذب. The true Salafi is distinguished from the false claimant, from the liar. فإن فئام من الناس امتطعوا السلفية وهي منهم براء. Because a group of people, they have jumped on board. They've jumped on board of Salafiyya. How many now? Because they know that the Dawah Salafiyya is qawwiyya jiddan. And how many people are turning to Salafiyya? Then a group of people, they have jumped on the bandwagon, as they say, and they have tried to hijack this title. But the Salafiyya is free from them. فالأشاعرة يزعمون أنهم من أهل السنة والجماعة وكذبوا. The Ash'ira, they assert and claim that they are the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah, وكذبوا, and they have lied. والإخوان المسلمين كذلك يزعمون أنهم من أهل السنة والجماعة. They claim likewise, make the same claim. وبون كبير بين أهل السنة والجماعة. نعم. وبين منهجهم وما يسيرون عليه. There is a bone كبير, a massive distance between the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah and between their manhaj and that which they traverse upon. And these أصول التي سوف أذكرها متفق عليها بين دعاة المنهج السلفي قديما وحديثا. These principles that I'm going to mention, they are agreed upon by the callers to the Salafi manhaj of old and of new. Now, وقبل أن أذكر هذه الأصول وأبينها بيانا شافيا كافيا إن شاء الله أقول, and before making mention of these principles and explaining them with a complete explanation, then I say إن السلفية التي ندعو إليها ليست كالجماعات الإسلامية الحزبية الموجودة الآن. That Salafiyah, the Salafiyah that we call to, it is not like the Islamic groups, those groups of Hizbiyah, of partisanship, which are present today and now. And that was in the time of the Shaykh. The Shaykh passed away in 2004. In 2004. How about now, what we've seen? And we see how many, especially with the advancement of these means that are out there for these people. Social media, YouTube, and all of these various platforms that they have. How easy it is for them to come on with, before the screen and to upload with these fancy videos, and all of them claiming, many of them claiming to be Salafi, many of them claiming to be Ahlul Sunnah, and many of them going out, whether it is speaker's corner and this corner and that corner, every corner they go, and they'll say or claim to be callers to Salafiyah, callers to the Sunnah, and so on. Now, how many of them? The Shaykh was mentioning this in his time. We've seen just from then, when the Shaykh passed away, 2004 until now, how times have become much worse. And, there are many more people who or influences, and so many more platforms and means through which these people and these jama'at and these individuals, they seek to misguide people. Now, إذ إن السلفية هي جماعة المسلمين. Salafiyya, أيها الإخوة, that is the group, that is the body of the Muslims, the congregation of the Muslims. فكل من اعتقد العقيدة السلفية والتزمها في واقعه فهو السلفي. Every individual who believes and has the Aqeedah of the Salaf and holds on to it, في واقعه. What does the Shaykh mean here? I'm sure most of you, alhamdulillah, you have the basics of the Arabic language. في واقعه. In the actual sense, not just lip service and a claim, truly holding on to the Aqeedah of the Salaf and the manhaj of the Salaf and sticking to it, then that is the Salafi. لا نفرق بين أحد وأحد. We don't distinguish between anyone. وليس لنا ارتباط غير ولاة أمرنا من حكام وعلماء. ونحن لا نخفي شيئا مما عندنا. This is muhim. The Shaykh, he mentions that there is no connection that we have to other than the leaders and the ulama. We don't hide anything from that which is with us. That which we are upon is mudawwan fil kutub. It has been recorded down in the books. Masmu' fil ashrita. It can be heard on the tapes and recordings. فلا سرية ولا تنظيم سوى تنظيم ولي الأمر. There is no secrecy in the da'wah. There is no secrecy and so on, other than the order of the wali al-amr. The order of the rule. There is no hidden hierarchy in these things and hidden affairs. Like you find even the Sufiya, for example, they have their murids and so on, and their sheikhs and so on. Yani, they have those who they give their pledge of allegiance to and so on. It's like this hierarchy. Yani, these levels that you can get to. Yani, in your deen, in your ibadah, and in your affairs. And other than the Sufis, even those who from these jama'at, Ikhwan al-Muslimin, and even though many of those who would claim Salafiyya, but you find that they have, they call to themselves those from amongst them who believe that they are in charge of the da'wah here, for example, that they are in charge and everybody needs to go back to them. The Shaykh is making clear here that there is nothing secret in the Dawah Salafiyya, and there is no hidden order, but all there is the order of the leader of the Muslims, and for those living in the Muslim land, and even for us here, we look at the Muslim rulers, although here we are not ruled by the Muslim, we're in the lands of the Kuffar. This affair is something we still make clear. We still make clear that this is from the usul and the foundations of the Salafi da'wah, this particular affair of how we are with the hukam, with the rulers, with the umara, and with the ulama, and so on. Now, وَنَرَى الْإِرْتِبَاطِ بِعُلَمَاءِ السَّلَفِ أَمْرًا ضُرُورِيًّا, and we see that the connection to the ulama of the Salaf is a affair that is absolute necessary. وَيُمَثِّلُهُمْ فِي الْقُرُونِ الْمُتَأَخِّرَةِ, those who represent them and follow the ulama of the Salaf in these times is the A'immat al-Da'wah al-Najdiyya. The A'imma and the ulama from Najd, the Najd areas in the Mamlaka, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Rahmatullahi tabarak wa ta'ala alayhim ajma'in. وَمَنْ تَأَثَّرَ بِهِمْ فِي وَقْتِهِمْ وَمِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ. And those who follow them, who follow these A'imma, these Imams and ulama, in their times and after their times. ونأخذ الآن من علمائنا المعروفين بالسنة الذين لم يتلطخوا بأوضار البدعة. And we take from these well-known scholars of the Sunnah, those who لم يتلطخوا عفوا, those who have not been stained, soiled with the awdar, the filth of bid'ah. They haven't been spoilt and stained with the filth of bid'ah, of innovations. وَلَمْ يَتَلَبَّسُوا بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْهَوَىٰ, and they are not wrapped with anything from desires. وَهُمْ كَثُرٌ, and they are many. وَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدُ وَالْمِنَّةُ. مِنْهُمْ الشيخ, and the Shaykh now is again, Rahimahullah, he makes mention of the ulama of the Sunnah in his time. Shaykh Abdul-Aziz bin Abdullah ibn Baz, Rahimahullah. Shaykh Muhammad ibn Nasir al-Din al-Albani, Rahimahullah. Shaykh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymin, Rahimahullah. Our Shaykh Salih ibn Fawzan al-Fawzan, Hafidhullah. Shaykh Abdullah bin Abdurrahman al-Ghudayan, Rahimahullah ta'ala. Shaykh Salih bin Abdurrahman al-Atram. Shaykh Abdul Muhsin bin Hamd al-Abbad. Shaykh Abdul Aziz bin Abdullah al-Shaykh, the current Mufti. Now, Shaykh Salih bin Muhammad al-Luhaydan, our Shaykh, likewise Shaykh Muhammad bin Salih al-Luhaydan, Rahimahullah ta'ala. Now, and other than them, min ikhwanihim al-ulama, other than them from their brothers, from the ulama, mimman sar ala shakilatihim, from those who traversed upon their way. وَنَحْنُ لَا نَعْتَقِدْ فِيهِمَا الْعِصْمَةِ. We do not believe that they are infallible. We don't believe that these scholars are infallible. Something muhim again that we need to be reminded of, because there are those who, as the Shaykh will make mention, those who make ta'assub. Yani they cling blindly and fanatically onto the scholars, or some from the scholars. Naam. بل هم بشر يجري عليهم ما يجري على سائر البشر من الخطأ والنسيان. Rather, they are men. There comes to them that which comes to the rest of men from mistakes and from forgetfulness. نعم. ونحن نعتني بالعلم. And we concern ourselves with knowledge. ونشغل أنفسنا بطلبه من هؤلاء العلماء وغيرهم ممن كان على شاكلتهم.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
So we preoccupy ourselves with seeking this knowledge from these ulama and other than them, those who follow their way and their path. ونقرأ بحمد الله كتب الحديث. We read the books of hadith. كالأمهات الست. Like the 6 ummahat. Referring to what? The 6 books of hadith. وشروحها المعروفة. And the explanations of these books of hadith. The books of tafsir. Such as the book of tafsir from Ibn Jarir, of Al-Baghawi, of Ibn Kathir, of Ibn Sa'di. Likewise, we read the books of Aqeedah, of the Aqeedah al-Salafiyya, of creed and belief of the Salaf, such as the books of Sunnah, and likewise the Kitab al-Tawheed of Ibn Khuzaymah, and Tawheed of the Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, and the rest of his books. We likewise read the books of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah and the books of Ibn al-Qayyim. ونعنى بكتب أئمة الدعوة من الشيخ محمد ibn Abdul Wahhab إلى يومنا هذا. And likewise we are preoccupied with the books of the A'imma of the Da'wah, the Imams of the Da'wah, from the works or the books of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab until this day of ours. And وعلماء الدعوة الآن هم من أشرت إليهم قبل قليل. And the ulama of the da'wah now are those who I have mentioned previously, just those names that we just mentioned. Those are the ulama of the da'wah. We also read the books of fiqh. ونحث على حفظ الزاد. And we encourage with the memorization of الزاد, زاد المستقنع, in humble fiqh. على شرط, with the condition, and يعرف الدليل, when يتبع, with the condition that the evidence is known and that it is to be followed. It is to be followed. ولا نعيب من حفظ متنا فقهيا على شرط أن ينظر في أدلته. We don't censor or blame anyone who memorizes a particular matan, text from the text of fiqh, with the condition that he looks to the evidences. ونحن نبغض التعصب وننبذه نبذا كاملا. We detest التعصب, this fanaticism, blindly sticking and fanatically sticking to the madhahib and to aqwal and so on, and we reject it with a complete rejection. Likewise, we concern ourselves with al-nahu wal-sarf, with the Arabic language, with grammar, etymology and so on, the language, the Arabic language. We likewise look into the books of adab, of literature, and shi'r, and poetry and so on. And we call the people to islah anfusihim. This is, as Salafis, this is what we do. We call the people to rectifying themselves, rectifying their aqeedah and their akhlaq. Another big one, we can't forget. Dawah Salafiyya is not just aqeedah. So all of these affairs that the Shaykh has mentioned, fiqh, kadhalik, Islam, your Islam is made up of ahkam, of fiqh, but it's likewise made up of akhlaq. This is something that Salafis we cannot neglect. Rasul sallallahu, he had akhlaq and he taught akhlaq. And as he said, he's been sent to perfect good manners. And so as Salafiyun, then we likewise have to perfect those manners. Now, and so we encourage the people, and we encourage ourselves first and foremost to have those good manners. وَبِالْإِجْتِهَادِ فِي الْعِبَادَةِ. And likewise we encourage people to strive. Before we encourage others, we have to be ourselves, we have to strive. We have to strive to worship Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Likewise, we encourage the people to make tatbiq of the Sunnah, to implement the Sunnah. Implement the Sunnah in Aqeedah, because the Sunnah can refer to the Aqeedah, but also Sunnah can refer to, as we know, the Sunnah, the Sunnah of the Rasul in ibadat and so on. وَنُسَجَّ عَلَى إِحْيَائِهَا. And we encourage people to make ihya of the Sunnah, to bring to life those Sunnah that the people have lost. نعم. ونعتقد أن من سعى إلى إيجاد سلفية حزبية على نمط الجماعات الحزبية الموجودة فقد أخطأ. And we believe that whoever strives to bring about a group claiming to be Salafi, a new group that claims to be Salafi, in the manner and in the way of these groups, these partisan groups that we mentioned, فقد أخطأ. Then they are mistaken. And whoever does this, then he's mistaken. He is erred. وأننا منه براء. And we are free from him. And there's no, you can't bring about a new group of Salafiyya. As the Shaykh mentioned, that the Jama'ah of Salafiyya, no need for us to mention everything that the Shaykh mentioned, but it is the Jama'ah of the Muslimin upon that old affair. It is the same thing from that time to now. Salafiyya there is no new form of Salafiyya or new group of Salafis that can come about with something new. فهذا جملة ما نحن عليه. So this is just part of what we are upon, a brief mention of what we are upon. نسأل الله تعالى أن يسددنا. The Shaykh makes dua that Allah guides us to be upright, وأن يؤيدنا, that He aids us, وأن ينفعنا, that He causes us to benefit, وأن ينفع بنا, and He causes us to be a means of benefit to others. إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه. نعم. وهذا هو تفصيل أصولنا أو تفصيل بعضها. So what is about to follow is a detailed explanation of our usul, our foundations, our principles as Salafis, or an explanation of some of them, and kitab that. So just to make a quick mention of the usul, the 10 principles. The first, that which we were going to cover is the first is that we concern ourselves with seeking religious knowledge, and we strive and concern ourselves with gaining al-fiqh fi din, understanding in the religion. Second is that we we are adamant, or we have zeal to implement and to implement actions and to act upon al-Islam, to practically apply that knowledge and to apply al-Islam in our lives. The third principle is calling to Allah Ta'ala ala Albaseerah. When we call people to Islam, we call them upon insight now and with clarity. The fourth is that we concern ourselves with the Aqeedah of the Salaf, ilman wa amalan wa ta'leeman. In learning, in actions, and in teaching. The fifth principle, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, that we will cover, is to concern ourselves with the Sunnah. Now, and to have zeal, or zealously act upon the Sunnah and to call to it. The sixth principle is that we have a strong connection to the ulama of the Sunnah. The seventh is that we distance ourselves from the various covert groups and parties. The eighth is that we hold onto that which the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Rasul ﷺ and the Ijma' of the Salaf have proven as it relates to dealing with our leaders and rulers. The ninth is to warn against and show our rejection to the people of innovation and to warn from them or warn against them. And the last principle, the 10th, is التزامنا بالكتاب والسنة في كل شؤوننا وأحوالنا. Adhering to the Book of Allah, to the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu in every affair, in all our affairs and in all situations. These are the 10 principles that we will cover. So which are muhim jiddan, and it lays for us a framework, as Salafiyun, that which we should concern ourselves with. Usul that the Shaykh Rahimahullah has mentioned in a simple and brief manner, which we can all benefit from, the one who is old to Salafiyya and likewise new to Salafiyya. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى